fair to say that most people don't have a problem with ska music. In fact, most people kind of enjoy it, even if in tiny little bits. But even in Japan, here, where all genres kind of get a chance, I don't think anyone hears ska music and thinks contemporary, modern, or the hot new thing in the charts. Now, this is not to say there isn't a lot of artists who are championing ska quite well, most notably, of course, being the admittedly very popular Tokyo Ska Paradise Orchestra. And yet, when you look at them and you consider what they do, most of what they do is basically backing up other famous contemporary artists, and that's kind of how they get through to the wider audience. Iron at the End, and before that, Aiko, and back in the day, Puffy. So has ska, a genre that, like I say, is quite popular and beloved in Japan, basically become a niche, become something that is never really going to be big popping and charting again? Has it become something to only be used as flavouring for the music that you like more? Well, this is where Japan's fun, young, vibrant ORESKABAND come in to make a difference with their most recent material. Now, this is not to say I didn't like their material before. In fact, as I'll kind of get onto, I'd say I maybe preferred their material before. However, I think what they're doing now, actually, it's important, and I'm going to cover a couple of their songs and the reason why. I'm going to be talking about Stormy and Wonder Neighbor, which itself debuted last night with a music video. Both of these songs take a step at moving ORESKABAND's sound away from more normal ska and into a slightly more poppy element. Now, they still keep the ska identity, but they are much more clearly sounding like pop singles. Now, obviously, I don't want them to erase their original sound. I don't want them to stop being ska. And yet, at the same time, when you're looking at singles, that's where you can go into a more poppy territory. So long as they're maintaining their more traditional sound on the rest of the album, that's kind of fair for fans and fair for the genre, but there's nothing wrong with moving your singles in a slightly more poppy direction. Are they the first ska band to ever do something more poppy? I mean, we've seen this from ska and from reggae, which I know ska diehards might not like me saying this, but reggae has a lot of similar things going for it as ska. Both of them have before been mixed with pop. But there are some very important factors here. See, popularizing a genre or even having a big single isn't just about having the catchiest song. If so, they'd already be there, as I consider Free Now to actually be much catchier than any of their other songs. It's one of the best ska songs I think I've ever heard. And their song, What a Wonderful World, not to be confused with Louis Armstrong's song, that's also a really, really catchy song. And being successful in a sort of popular way isn't just about having the right sort of pop-style production as well, or moving in those correct writing beats. Although they have definitely done that here, another big factor, let's be honest, you gotta actually be cool. You gotta have a cool look. ORESKABAND are one of the most interesting songwriting ska bands I've ever heard. They throw variation into all their songs pretty much, and they are just really, really just interesting to listen to. But if you want to resuscitate a genre that is feeling kind of dated, having a look does help. And believe me, I'm not saying I want that to be the most important factor. As a guy with a receding hairline who likes songwriting, I really wish it wasn't as important as it is, but if you want a genre to be popular, it's a big factor. I mean, look at a lot of the bands who've been moving forwards, Japanese rock and metal, as so much as it has done recently. They've been the girls' rock bands. Now, this is not to say that they're not good in their own right. They are, but it certainly helps when you look attractive and cool, which most of them do. But let's rewind a little bit to the more interesting element of the songwriting and how I say they've managed to infuse certain poppy elements into what they were doing. I chose to record this segment next to a very noisy road. I'm not entirely sure why I did that. That's better. So let's start by talking about Stormy, because Stormy's a really interesting one for me. The way that it comes in, first of all, with that slightly synthetic sound, but very quiet, very light, and then you get a beat come in. And the beat itself is got such a firm, thumping vibe that it feels like it's electronic, but you can hear just enough nuance in it to tell that it's not. The vocal delivery when it first comes in is sort of bordering on hip-hop. I know they've played with that before, but just in this setting, it feels like a very sort of contemporary pop, hip-hop side sort of song. Now, this is interesting because if you are more of a traditional ska fan at this point, you are probably thinking, what's going on here? I must admit, when I first heard it, I was like, I don't know, is this intro doesn't sound like it's leading to not what I necessarily want ORESKABAND to be doing. But at no point does it do anything that is antithetical to ska. It doesn't do anything that rules out it turning into a ska song later, and as the elements are built on top of it, you start to feel the old ORESKABAND come in, but just the fact that they've set that groundwork, which is so in keeping with a contemporary pop song, gives it the ability to really get through to a wider audience. And then also you've got to include that chorus. That chorus is really, really catchy. And including in the chorus, of course, the guitar just has a sort of a long held note. That's about the most antithetical to ska thing that happens in this song. But it's just providing a nice thick undercurrent, a nice thick backing to everything. Then when you get like the trumpets, the trombones, etc. come in, I want to make sure that I don't accidentally say the wrong instruments. Can't remember exactly which brass instrument. They do have saxophone, trumpet, trombone. Anyway, when it comes in, it really starts to add the ska element on top of what is already a very sort of pop feeling backing, very solid, catchy chorus, all of that, and it really starts to come together and you feel the fusion of the two things. It combines that sort of solidity, that thickness, that sheen, that pop catchiness of a pop song with the bouncy elements of ska, and they never contradict each other, they just complement each other. You get the best of both worlds in this song, which I just think is fantastic. This song definitely needs a proper music video. But the other thing that I would put on top of that as well is that the nuances of the musicianship are all there. It's not, I've said this sometimes, when you've got really good musicianship, it's not always about being showy, it's about knowing how to fill the right gaps at the right time and do them the right way. As I said about the beat, it feels thumping because that's what you want it to do. It feels like it's got that almost sort of programmed quality, but there's just enough nuance in there that you can feel the musicianship, you can feel a sort of tangibility to it, and that goes for kind of everything here. It's an exercise in restraint, but just knowing the right moments, picking them, putting in the right sounds, the right things, the right flavors to give it a bit of attitude, give it a bit of personality, give it a bit of quality, stop it becoming bland, stop it becoming a cookie cutter pop song. One of those other simple, you would almost miss it if you didn't know it was happening techniques that they use so brilliantly here, and it's another really old school one, is the strategic key changes. I love those little key changes where it jumps up a couple of notes. They put that in beautifully as well. Again, simple, very simple, but it adds quality. However, if it's still just a little bit too pop for you, well, Wonder Neighbor comes to fill in even that gap. See, Wonder Neighbor once again achieves the quality of really sounding like a single. It has a pop value, it really feels like it's something that you could play on the radio and most people would enjoy. However, it does lean slightly more on the ska elements. I would say the end result is not quite as catchy a chorus. It doesn't have quite the quality of the two-phase call and answer, two speeds of vocal delivery chorus that we get from Stormy. However, it is still a very catchy song. It's got a good feeling to it, and yeah, it does lean slightly more on those ska elements that I think would make it more appealing, perhaps to more of a traditional ska fan. Once again, I just feel that it really nicely bridges the gap of having the qualities that you'd want from a pop song and the qualities you'd want from a ska song without them contradicting each other, without them fighting against each other. Just a kind of a best of both worlds scenario. Although I've got to be honest, Wonder Neighbor does have one contemporary pop trope that I find slightly less than appealing. Sorry. And that's the fact that, well, it's not the song, it's the video actually. The video is nice, it's really feel good, it puts a smile on your face. However, there is this leaning of recent years towards those sort of more mid-tempo, slow-moving, story-based videos that don't actually feature the band that much, and this is one of those. They're nice, but when there's a story, you can't really re-watch it very easily, and when it's focusing more on telling a story than it is moving with the music, which often is more the case when you show the band in the song video, it doesn't quite feel the song. You get maybe the feeling of the lyrics a bit, but not so much the feeling of the song, the actual audio experience. So yeah, that's one thing that kind of works against them. And as I say, when you've got a band who've got such a cool, funky image, put them in the videos. I mean, I know that every single band-made video basically is just a performance video, but it works. I mean, look at the exception to that, Start Over, which is a song that, by the way, I like, but that video, oh god. It's almost like cringe-worthy. So yeah, I think if you've got an attractive band, be inventive with your videos, yeah, but I would say put them in there. It helps. You're trying to reinvigorate a genre that some might see a bit stodgy and old. Put the cool looking women who play funky music in your video. More. So anyway, as I say, I think that they might not be reinventing the wheel here, but I just think there are the right people in the right position at the right time, producing the right songs with the right choruses to do something fantastic for ska, to really bring it back from a status of being a niche into something that can chart heavily and do really well, and I hope they get the support that they deserve. They seem to be getting a lot more promotion now, so I really hope that that works in their favour, and I hope we see more of ORESKABAND. That's my conclusion. So, as always, get in the comments and tell me what you think, and until I hopefully see you very soon in Japan for the next one of these, for now, ciao ciao.